5 years this company has saved us?
I don't have it with me, no.
Would it be $5,000 a year?
It
times five?
averages between 5 and 6.
Mhm.
Since I've been here, since 2014, it's been between 5 and 6,000.
So it has been a company that has worked with us, shall I say, correct?
Yes, I mean, they have programs to reduce costs, to encourage our employees to shop around, for procedures and lab work, your preventative types of care.
And the other question I have is, it's my understanding that this town has the bronze plan, correct? And that's where the subscriber pays 40% of their medical costs. Right? They have the different medical, they have the different metal designations.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, they have the Cadillac plan, which they never gave me a.
For example, surrounding towns have the silver and the platinum plan, but they charge their families a certain amount of money.
Yeah, I don't really know what the other surrounding towns have for plans. I mean, that takes quite a bit of research to do.
When I'm out and around, I ask them.
Yeah.
You know, I know 2 towns that abut us do not have the bronze plans. They're a little bit better.
Okay.
My point is that you're an employee here and you go onto the plan. We have a bronze plan, and if you were to sit down and actuarially figure out everything, you're paying 40% of your medical costs. No, I spoke to some people, for example, they would have a $10 copay on visit to a doctor. Under these other plans, that would jump to 60.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then the co-pays and the total deductibles and the maximum out of pocket is changing
Yes.
if we change plans. So, I mean, I'm looking at, if we just compare the best Anthem plan to what we currently have, we're saving $75,000. As we used to say in the cab business, that ain't hay. But that said, there's an impact on the insured.
Yes, there is.
So do we mitigate that through some internal mechanism, or do we say $75,000 saved isn't enough?
I'm going to expand the discussion a little bit. We have 5 or 6 employees that, if not this year, next year will be at the end of the matrix. And the only benefit that they really get would be health care. The second thing is, I've heard it for all the years that I've been here, our employees are our #1 resource. I've also heard people tell me that if we were to lose an employee, it costs 1.5 times their salary to replace them as they wind down and a new person comes. The last thing is, just at Clay's operation alone, he's going to make $40,000, which covers the 11% expense. And my last comment is, just like we did with, you get your merit increase on your anniversary date, could we go maintain the status quo, but that's something that's on the agenda for hard introspection in the coming year. Thank you.
The health reimbursement account, we fund that, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that's used to offset
Out of pocket.
out of pocket. Okay. So,
And if the person
But
doesn't
what-
use all of it, it comes back to the town.
so one way to accommodate a potential higher cost for out of pocket is the same way we do it now, which is with the health reimbursement account. So that the effect on the covered member in using services gets covered.
Mitigated.
Right.
Mitigated, right?
Right. We talked, last time we talked, there was a question about the potential in changing programs, changing insurers for covered members having to go to a different doctor because the new plan has a different set of doctors in their network than the existing plan. Do we get any information about that? Is there?
What I did is I sent all the employees a link to check to make sure that their doctors would be in the same network as Anthem
Mhm.
that they are using.
Mhm.
And so I also gave them an attachment of what was covered, the summary
Mhm.
that you have in your packets for the Anthem product, option 1 and 2. And I've also had one-on-one with the department heads, making sure they got the email. Did they get any input from their staff? And apparently, I've not heard that their doctors were not in the network.
Nobody's come back and said this
Right.
is going to cause an issue. Okay.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I've had 6 employees tell me it'll cost more out of pocket to not stay with the current vendor.
Okay.
That's 6 employees out of 14.
Say that we-
And
In a constructive,
It's not a
positive,
double negative. What happened in this conversation?
6 employees
Yeah.
have said they have compared
One
current
to the
program,
Yeah, we have.
and they've gone through item by item, copay and deductible and all that, and that these programs over here would be more money out of pocket for them.
1 and 2, Anthem 1 and 2. Yeah.
Right.
Right,
All
yes.
right.
And that is,
And
yes.
but is that covered under the HRA plan?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So is this really out of pocket for them, or is this just money that the health insurance plan doesn't cover, but the town covers it?
Do we reimburse or do they,
Well-
how's that work? Do the hospital bill us for the HRA or do we?
The benefit strategies manages the HRA and the benefit family savings account. But the Anthem option 1 and 2, the employees are going to be using their health reimbursement account going to go through it a lot quicker than with the program that we are now at. So they will.
$75,000 quicker?
750, or excuse me, it depends on,
All right. I mean, it isn't all about the dollars, okay? But if you look at the Anthem option 1,
Mhm.
right? The total cost, if I'm reading this correctly, is $75,000 less to the town than the current plan, correct?
Mhm.
So, we have the health reimbursement account, which helps cover the uncovered expenses. The town has funded $8,500. I have no idea how much of it has been used. But we're
increasing
saying that co-pays and uncovered services are gonna go up. So my question is, are they gonna go up to the extent of $75,000? Because if they aren't, then from a dollars and cents standpoint, if the town is paying that out of this pot rather than this pot,
Right, I mean,
then it makes
she's
sense.
she's increased the HRA to 10,125, or 10,625. So you got a 25% increase in HRA if you follow the cost structure down. So you're already spending 8,500, now you're gonna spend 2,125. Does that cover, I guess, Bill's question is, have we exhausted the current HRA for this year for our employees?
I just got a bill yesterday, I have to,
and I'm not looking exactly for an answer at this point, but the benefit to
The town is,
to the town to basically partially self-insuring here is that the money that doesn't get used
Goes back to the town.
doesn't get used, okay? So once we send this 75,000 extra dollars to the current plan that we're on, okay, for next year, we might get a $6,000
check.
offset in the following year's premium as a result of that,
Right.
right? So let's take 6,000 off, and again, I'm not talking exact numbers here, but conceptually. So that, if you take that 6,000, but the 6,000 is already
Right.
pulled out of here.
75 grand is net.
So that 75 is net. So let's say that to fund all of the employee health care expenses that we're currently covering through reimbursement, the stuff that's not covered in the plan that Benefit Strategies takes care of, right?
Mhm.
Instead of having $8,500 in there, which we've had, we have $18,500, another $10,000. Or $28,500, another $20,000.
Or-
We're still looking at a reduction in healthcare costs,
True.
okay?
Or we take the $75,000 that we know we're gonna save, and she's already added in a 25% increase in the HRA. But we take the $75,000 out of our undesignated fund balance, put it into a trust specifically for the occurrence that you're mentioning.
Yeah,
Where we need to step up for our employees so that they're not getting killed. Now it's a win-win. We've spent our own money, or invested our own money into a
We're
situation.
not raising new tax dollars for that 75,000.
Well, 75 is just gonna go into the pocket of part of the program if we buy their plan.
right.
You know, I mean, there's no escaping that.
We ought to be able to, based upon a projection of usage, all right, at a different rate, say, okay, for instance, this year we spent, out of 8,500, we spent
Yeah, the calculator.
8,300, okay? If we look at the same rate of healthcare usage as what we have now, at an increased per occurrence reimbursement rate, that would take that 8,500 to twice that, 3 times that, whatever. I don't know what the, somewhere there's detail that we can look at to say,
I mean, one of the key factors is that we're going from 4,000 to 5,000 in total out of pocket. And
Right.
I would assume that the 4,000 is getting covered by the HRA in some form. So we've got 14 employees, you got an additional $14,000 worth of exposure by adding $1,000 per employee to that out of pocket. So, I mean, I guess where I'm going with this is, your maximum exposure is an additional $14,000. And to save 75,000, and it costs you
Well,
14 grand, it's.
right, so now you save 61,000.
If you spend it all. right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
If you take the current, if you take,
My interest is in not having it adversely impact any of the covered people.
Right, right.
But I think we can't just turn a blind eye to the fact that there's significant savings here. And particularly if it doesn't impact the covered individual, right? So if the amount that comes out of Benefit Strategies goes up, right? But in the end, the effect on the covered individual is the same, then are there other things? And again, the two of you are both covered by the program, right? The current insurance. And So I'm looking for feedback as to, am I missing something here? It isn't all about the dollars. It's about the quality of healthcare and the coverage and the affordability for the individual, right? So on the stuff that comes from benefit strategies, or is there a timing issue that we're looking at here? In other words, you have to pay it and then you get it back from benefit strategies? And is that gonna be a significant impact to the individual? Is that gonna be a hardship? And if it is there a way that we can create a mechanism to take care of that timing issue and still help us to keep the costs more under control? Because the health reimbursement account is, as I said earlier, it's partial self-insurance for the town, okay? We're saying we're gonna cover this cost, but instead of buying that coverage totally from the insurance company, we're gonna take our dollars and use it to pay the co-pays, the deductibles, that sort of thing. Am I making sense?
I follow you, yes?
I've done some quick math. If we take the current Harvard Pilgrim plan, 324,122. Okay so far?
Mm-hmm.
And we deduct 75,000, the fund that in raising it from 4,000 to 5,000, and we fund that out of the fund balance. That means the taxpayers this year will be paying $2,049,122 toward health costs. Correct?
You lost me, I'm sorry.
You would take the 324, 122,
What was your last number, 294,000?
yes, minus $75,000 for the, I'm gonna call it the special fund, the support fund.
No, okay, let's stop right there. We're not gonna expend that $75,000 on an annualized
Right.
basis.
No,
That's just to set it aside. The only difference I can see is 14,000.
but
Right.
now we're not gonna spend that
It's not gonna
75,000.
affect the tax rate either. I mean, you can't add that on to setting the taxes, because we already have the money.
Well, let me,
I just threw that up into the air. I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yes.
saying-
All right.
We haven't talked about it.
here's another way to look at this, all right? If we say we are gonna flat fund our budget for health coverage, okay? This year we spent 324,122, and that's what we're gonna budget total for next year. But we're gonna go with a plan that costs us $290, okay? And that other 34,000, we'll put it in the HRA plan or wherever, and it only gets spent if it gets spent. If it doesn't get spent, it just stays there. And now, it's not in a special fund, other than it's a fund that sunsets at the end of the year. It
Well, At the
doesn't
end of the
roll.
year, it's gonna roll into your undesignated fund.
Right,
balance.
and then you deal with it again. But what that's doing is, that's keeping our budgeted cost for health
Flat.
flat, right? And providing the employee with my understanding of the way this works is that they're gonna have the same benefit, just from a different carrier. So the way the pieces fit are gonna be a little bit different. The co-pays, the deductibles, those kinds of things are gonna change. They're gonna be able to use their same providers that they're using now. Those co-pays and deductibles that we currently fund out of the health reimbursement account would still be funded out of the health reimbursement account. Just, there's gonna be more money needed there because those co-pays and deductibles are higher.
I think that's a really fair resolution.
Hmm?
I think that's totally fair. I mean, I
Okay,
really
now,
appreciate it.
my concern
So are
is,
we paying 100% of the maximum out of pocket? Is that-
I don't know.
Oh,
How does it
yeah.
work?
Well, I mean, I guess I was kind of thinking myself, for instance, if we have $15 copay right now and some copays go to 40, the percentage increase for that, I don't know, I was just trying to think of different ways to.
When you get reimbursed from Benefit Strategies, okay, do your co-pays to the doctor get reimbursed?
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Are there any expenses that don't get reimbursed? Do your prescription,
Usually, anything that the health insurance will pay is
Right.
related to,
if it's an
it's
eligible expense,
it's medical expense, then Benefit Strategies will pay for it.
Right, prescriptions and so
All
forth.
right.
If you're looking to have Benefit Strategies pay for, let's say, vitamins, and it's not prescribed by the doctor, they won't pay for that.
Right.
No,
That-
right.
Just an example of what they
Right.
don't pay.
So basically, they take the statement that comes from the insurance company and the patient pays piece is what they will
Right.
reimburse.
You get a receipt from the doctor, you take that receipt, you send it to Benefit Strategies, and you get reimbursed for your
So
out-of-pocket.
we really need to know what that number is. How much of the HRA have we expended this year?
Well, yeah.
Because, I mean, ultimately, if you said all 14 individuals have a maximum out-of-pocket of
Is
$5,000.
that called the deductible HRA reimbursement?
HRA, yes.
Okay, we've spent $7,528.77 as of October 30th.
Okay,
We have
so,
we've had $971 left.
so $500 per employee.
No, it depends on your plan. If you have a single, you get $250.
No, I mean, just to keep the math simple. You have 14 people on your insurance.
Mhm.
So you spent $7,000, that's $500 a person.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay?
Or family.
But I mean, I'm looking at the maximum out of pocket is going from 4,000 to 5,000. We're not even close to the 4. And our total exposure at 5,000 for 14 people is $70,000.
Yes,
So that would be our maximum exposure
yes,
if the sky actually did fall.
yes.
I'm glad you brought that up because it is $1,000 deductible per person. So for instance, you have a surgery and you have a family of 4, and 2 of you have surgery. Or
Do all
whatever,
4 of
you-
them?
you- Right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so you're
family.
all gonna pay 1,000
Right.
out of, so, I guess that's my point, meaning,
But that's all currently all coming out of the HRA.
no,
Okay, it isn't.
it's very small. Like for instance, this family gets 750.
Okay,
I know, it's not, 750 right now per family, but your maximum out of pocket is, I think, currently 3 right now.
I don't,
Per family.
I hate to just keep dragging this thing out.
Yeah.
I don't have enough information, as we're sitting here today, I don't feel that I have enough information to say we can make this move or not, because I don't understand well enough how all these pieces run. I mean,
And this also gives an opportunity for, and I go back to Chip's comment that we discuss something one day and take a week and think about it, and someone comes in with another idea or comes in with some input. And it gives them, and it gives our
So the
employees.
employee is participating after the HRA is exhausted, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
like
like
I've already
3/4.
exhausted mine. It
Okay,
didn't take very long, because I can also take dental expenses towards
okay, so the HRA portion of this doesn't come into play until we figure out if the co-pays and the deductibles adversely impact the individual.
do you have a document that lays all this stuff out,
I guess that lays out the HRA.
how the HRA works?
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
There
one
is,
one small thing is that that benefit strategies, we only have a very short window of time that we have to get reimbursed if we do get a card. So if we go to the doctors and it's an eligible expense, and you slide your card, it's not coming out of your pocket at that time, it'll come out of your HRA.
Okay,
But again, like Chip brought up, it's not all of it, it's right now, like I say, $750 a person maximum, after that you shut off, the card doesn't work anymore, type thing.
mhm.
I have another question. Is there a deadline where these companies need to have an answer from us?
Yes,
That's what I was gonna
November
say.
1st.
which was the other day. I mean, I think we can make the decision, and this is just my position, we can make the decision to save the $75,000 and then start working on how we're gonna adjust the cost to the employee.
So that.
Secondarily to that, we got 75 grand in the pot now that we can move around.
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah,
That's correct.
so, again, you know, I don't want any of the covered people in the plan to suffer a huge change in their world. Sounds like that, as far as we know, people aren't gonna have to change their providers or those kinds of things. Now, deductibles, co-pays look like they're gonna change, so we ought to be able to figure out a way so that for the individual participant, they're not seeing a change.
Well, it's really my anthem.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
Out of the $75,000 that we're saving
Right.
in,
Mhm.
I mean, there's gotta be some accommodation on the part of the employee that things move. And if there's a 2 or 3 or 4, even a 10% increase in their cost of healthcare, I don't see that as being onerous, but we've got an awful lot of ability if we go with Anthem, because we have that 75 grand savings, that we could actually realize a $50,000 savings in our budget, even
Sure.
making major changes.
Yep.
So I'm not certain I'm willing to stay where we are with that
Yep.
number on the table.
What you're thinking of doing is going with Anthem Health Trust, option 1,
That would be my recommendation.
and your other recommendation is that we would change the HR plan to 75,000, correct?
No, I think my other recommendation would be that we
revisit that.
we revisit the HRA. I mean, I'm not familiar enough with the conditions of the HRA to talk about it today. But I think we need to, if we're gonna accommodate an employee to any degree, that's where we do it. I mean, I think Anthem probably provides the same medical coverage as, they're not doing medicine anyway, they're just an insurance company. But I think we can at this juncture decide to go with a lower cost plan, and given the gross savings, I mean, if it was $20,000, I'd say that, oh, that's not worth it. But your $75,000 savings, now we can start talking about how we're gonna adjust the HRA to accommodate that.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to use it all.
And I like your idea when you talk about trust fund, if we were to take the 75 out of the fund balance, that is the first step to accomplishing
But that's a whole
what your
other-
vision is. And that's another question.
Another discussion to
Yes,
have.
Right.
And we still have to run all this by the budget committee.
Yes.
Yep,
I'm gonna make a motion that we sign up with Anthem Health Trust option 1 for an adjusted annual cost of $290,109.96.
I'll second it.
Chip, that includes the increased HRA figure, you don't want to.
Okay, 287, I'm gonna amend my motion. $287,984.96. Thank you.
Yeah, just so you know, that's also going to include the
Current
current HRA,
HRA.
you want to do all that?
It's gotta be
So-
in the health plan,
Okay.
I think. I mean, it's just gonna confuse the
well,
guidelines of the world.
the
if we
piece
start
that we're
moving
talking
things
about
around.
today,
It's just the-
the piece that we're talking about today is
269,022.
$269,023.
Right.
Okay,
That's just
so,
That's just
and
to the healthcare.
that's step 1,
Right.
all right? And we need to get signed up with them, so let's do that.
All right, so we'll modify our motion one more time to be Anthem Health Trust option 1 for $269,022.96.
I'll second that.
With the understanding the HRA account is something that we will research and discuss later, correct?
Correct.
Right. This is not the total cost of the healthcare plan, this is the cost of the
Insurance premium.
insurance
Oh,
carrier's
yeah.
premium, right?
Does that make, is that clear to everybody? Clear to me. Are we ready to vote?
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes
So
3-0.
the number I'll bring to the budget committee is gonna be the gross numbers for discussion purposes.
Yes.
I gotta tell them that they'll be informed that we need to talk about the HRA number.
Yes, well, we'll probably have that decision made by the next time we speak to them.
Yep.
Do you need that? Do you have to wait for budget committee for what Diane needs to do?
I'm sorry?
No.
No.
No,
Oh,
that's
no.
not, this is not gonna go to the budget committee until
Right.
selectmen are
Right, done with it.
done with
Just the contract that
HRA.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
But that question's gonna come up at the next budget meeting. I mean,
We're working
Guy
on
Pipe
it.
won't vote on budgets until he knows what the personnel costs are. So we need to start feeding the information upwards
Yep.
or sideways, or whatever.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for your time. How does this affect the November 1st?
No, I called and I asked them if we could have a few more days. We were meeting today, they said that was fine.
Thank you guys.
And they'll send representatives here for the changeover.
Yes.
Okay. Next is Selectmen's updates. Who wants to go first?
Get my roof on it.
Go ahead.
I did some follow-up on the Diesel Emission Reduction Act. That, remember
Like the truck.
the truck? And I was at Lakes Region, the meeting, and they reviewed the minutes and the tape. And Elizabeth Strachan made the comment about it can't be for a vehicle that's on the CIP.
Before 2023, right?
Okay, I'm still confused over that. Can we have,
We've submitted our application.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Computer action items we've talked about. On November 2nd, Mark Howard and I, representing the town of Tuftonboro, met with Mike Izzard and Jeff Hayes of Lakes Region Planning. I'll give you a copy of this. In the past 2 years, we had identified 4 road projects in the town of Tuftonboro. Mark Howard coordinated with DOT to get Route 171 repaved, and he got them to keep it on the 10-year list. It had been taken off. Mark and Lake Region Planning coordinated a meeting with various DOT officials, and we made a site visit to the Mirror Lake